All right, I'm going to go ahead and press record. Welcome to our team call. We actually just came back from a really incredible retreat that some of you were on, and we kind of want to talk about that. And if you were not there at this one and you had a little FOMO, it's okay because we'll have one next year. And now you can prepare yourself to make sure you are setting goals and reaching them so you can, earn the trip for next year because it is going to be a blast. But this one was it was one of my favorites for sure because it's just like togetherness and the community and being able to share our stories and open up to each other was really, really cool and just get to know each other. So how many people's first time was it? It was Amy's first time on a retreat, Diane's first time, and Julia, right? So 3 of the 11 ladies that joined us, it was their first time. So it was just really cool. And I feel like even this year was so different from the previous years in different ways. So it was a great time. We went to Lake Norman for the very first time, and it was nice not having to fly somewhere for once. But some people had a longer drive than others. But it turned out really, really cool, and we just want to share a little bit from the retreat. So our theme was, hey, can you guys just make sure that we have mute everyone? Okay, my husband just jumped on. That's awesome. I think he's at the bar right now, actually, having a drink. But that's cool to jump on a team call. Anyways, the theme that we had was "You Are Enough." So we all had shirts made for everyone, and we had pictures taken with our shirts, "You Are Enough." And I just love that because I feel like we all struggle with feeling like we're enough, right? So do you guys ever struggle with feeling like you're not enough? Okay, so totally me too. I've been in this business now for 6.5 years. It'll be 7 in November. And from the beginning, I have always gone through phases in my business and life where I feel like I am not enough. I felt like I don't belong. And when we had this retreat, the first night, we sat around. Did you guys see I need to share it. I just love it. In my blog post, I did a recap and I shared the picture that Kyle, Megan's husband, took from at the top of us just sitting around the fire. And it was just like, it was so great because we just sat around and we just shared our stories. And so many of us had made comments like, I felt like I didn't belong here. I felt like I feel like I don't deserve to be here. And people we have these fears. We have these insecurities. We have these doubts within ourselves and about our business that we're just not good enough. We're not good enough to be a coach. We're not good enough to be a leader. I'm sorry. Okay. Inside joke. We'll talk about it later. We thought Amy was totally making her story up. She said she's from Saipan. Who was it? Missy was just eating popcorn thinking it was a movie. She's like, is this even real? She's from Japan, Saipan, whatever it is. It was just really funny. Anyways, we feel like we're not good enough to be a coach. We're not a good enough leader. And that's on top of feeling like we're not a good enough wife or a good enough mother or father if you're a man on here. We all struggle with that. And to be honest, like I said, I have gone through struggles throughout my 6.5 years of having these feelings in different stages of my business. And I'm going to be honest, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer and make you feel not excited, but you're all going to go through these feelings in your business. It's not a horrible thing. It's not a bad thing. We're human. And we sometimes go through that whole comparison phase where we see someone who started at the same time as us, but then we see them going 2-star and 5-star and 10-star. And here we are just hanging back out. Missy's like, hey, freaking men, sister. Hey, me too. I'm gonna put it out here and I'll tell her later about it. I used to compare myself to Alyssa Showmaker so bad because her and I started at the same time. And then she skyrocketed. We went diamond together in the same diamond group. And then like all of a sudden, a couple years later, and she's like 15 star. And I'm like, that was my goal. Like that was my goal. And I still keep putting that my goal and I'm still not there yet. And I'm like, am I not good enough? I don't do that anymore. We're friends. We're cool. But I don't compare myself because I've learned to figure it out and not compare myself to her or other people, because God didn't put me there for a reason. Like I'm in a different season for a reason, guys. And all of you are too. You're all in a different season for a reason. So don't let whoever started at the same time or, you know, whoever's doing this and you're not. You don't need to be upset about that because your time is going to come as long as you don't quit. You got that? If you all set a goal for something, whether it's an income goal, a rank goal, a faith goal, relationship goal, whatever it is, you will get there as long as you don't quit. Okay. So this is all about controlling your feelings to know that you are enough. Okay. We're all going to have these feelings, but you have to be able to control them. Okay. And how are we going to do that? So on Sunday, it was our last day of our leadership retreat, and a few of us, it was Brent and myself and Josiah. We actually, we drove with Diane and Amy. Amy drove from New York to my house, and then Diane drove to my house. She still lives in Pennsylvania, but it was still further away. So they both drove to my house, and we rode together. So I kind of didn't give them the option. I was like, hey, I'm going to church, and if you want to ride with me, you're going to come. And then Ashley actually had a later flight, so she was also up to come. And I almost didn't think she was going to because she had other plans to meet someone and we thought we were going to the later service. Well, we managed to make it to the earlier one and we checked out a little bit earlier of the house. So we went to, it's called Elevation Church. Is anyone familiar with Elevation Church and Stephen Furtick? Good deal. If you're not, you should probably look him up because he's like a really funny pastor who wears really nice, expensive shoes, but he has so many great things to say. Brent and I have been listening to him. Brent listens to him religiously every week. I listen to him almost every single week. But he is just an incredible pastor out of North Carolina. They have a whole bunch of branch campus. Is that what you want to call it? Campuses. Rather than the main campus, they have like a bunch of other ones. So we went to the Lake Norman one, and oh, hey, I should share my screen, shouldn't I? All right, I didn't need it yet, anyways. Hold on. Let me go to it. Okay, do you guys see it? Okay, perfect. So anyway, as I was saying before I rudely interrupted myself, hold on, let me go right here. What was I going to say? Oh, so we went there and the sermon was just really, really eye-opening. I had all intentions on doing a call, just talking about the retreat and things that we did, but like this sermon was awesome. And I know there are some of you that may not be, having a great relationship with the Lord, and maybe you're not a Christian, and maybe your faith is like in a whole different place than mine and a few other people's, and that is completely okay. Completely okay. I'm not trying to spin you in a different direction. Well, kind of I am, but I'm not trying to talk you into anything. I just want to simply, along with the other ladies, want to share what's on our hearts, because we felt like this sermon was just really eye-opening, and it relates to our business. Like, not only does it relate to our faith, but it relates to our business. So the topic was, I've got the keys. And I asked myself, do I have the keys? And and it was answered for me as the sermon, as, what's his name? Pastor Paul, is it McCullough? McCullough. Pastor Paul McCullough. He was a visitor pastor. But as he spoke, it was just like so many of the words resonated. So the four of us that went to church that day are going to share some of our takeaways. So here we go. Now that I talk like halfway through the call. So he says the keys that God has given us are not just for locking doors, but they're also to open new doors and new opportunities that is trying to come into our lives. I feel like we're constantly trying to like lock doors, shut people out, just not do this anymore because it's too hard. And we want to lock doors because guess what? It's the easy way out, right? It's the easiest thing to do is to lock doors and not have to worry about it, not have to worry about life being hard. But guys, on the other side are so many opportunities that we're probably missing out on because we're not unlocking them. We have the keys. If that's what you're wondering, do I have the keys? Yes, we all have the keys, but we're not using them all. Why? Because we're letting that fear come in, that anxiety, the doubt creeps in because we're missing something and we're forgetting to unlock these doors. And the problem is we're letting the enemy hold us back. And I really hope that, after hearing this, you guys can let go of that fear, find ways to control the fear, control the anxiety, control the doubt that wants to creep in and letting the enemy in so you guys can unlock these doors and you can live your life to the fullest potential, because once you do, it's a pretty good feeling, guys. So how you see yourself and where God sees you is the most important thing in life. Again, if you're not a Christian or a believer, I apologize if I don't want to offend anyone, but I think you know me enough that you know that I am a Christian and I will talk about my faith because it is real. And yeah, so it is important to see yourself where God sees you because you were fearfully and wonderfully made. And I hope that you guys see the vision of where God wants to take you. And Pastor Paul said, if you don't have a vision of where God wants to take you, you will live without purpose. And I love that so much because I feel like so many times we're like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. In this business, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. Maybe I'm supposed to help people. Like, yeah, you're supposed to freaking help people. If you don't want to help people, you're not a nice person. But like, you have to have a bigger purpose in life for what you want to do. Because when you have a vision and you know what you want to do, you're going to have such a satisfying life. And every day you can wake up excited to do what you feel you're called to do. You must have faith that you have the keys before you see the keys. You got that? We don't always have to see 15-star diamond. We don't always have to see a lead. We don't always have to see that title in front of us, okay? But sometimes we have to have faith before we actually see, right? See the miracle before it happens. And this is a spiritual rather than physical, okay, belief. And there are definitely ways that you can work on that. Maybe you're someone who's like, I don't have purpose. I don't really have a lot of faith. My spiritual life isn't really there. Guys, there are so many ways that you can work on that. It starts with praying. It starts with reading devotions. It can start with listening to a couple sermons just to see what relates to you. But as you hear this and you surround yourself around positive people, that is going to help you become more spiritual. It's going to help you have faith and see the possibility of things. So one of the things you guys need to do, I'm telling you what to do. You have to start talking to yourself in a positive way. Instead of saying, I don't have the potential, I can't do this, I suck at this, I have no hope. You have the keys. You have to tell yourself, hey, I have the keys. So like maybe tonight or tomorrow, you should just do it tonight. Go somewhere where you need to see it, write it down and say, I have the keys, okay? And every time you have that fear and that doubt that comes creeping in, you can have a reminder of yourself, I have the keys. I have what it takes to unlock what I need to live life full of purpose, okay? So the keys are activated in the spirit. So we're going to go over the 4 S's. Okay. So I hope that you guys can write this down. The first S I'm going to be talking about, and that is seeing. Okay, see eyes, see with eyes of faith. Again, I'm talking about that whole faith thing. You don't necessarily have to physically see, but spiritually. Just believe it. Anything is possible. So another thing that he said is, you are not born with limitations. You are born with possibility. Think about the people who, you know, they're born without limbs. And then you see them like in videos that they're like, I don't know, amazing athletes. Do you think that they allowed themselves, that were born with limitations, physical limitations, did that stop them? No. They had eyes of faith. They had eyes of faith. They believed that anything was possible. So I'm telling you guys, if they can do it, you can freaking do it. It's a mindset. It's a mindset shift. There's a story in the Bible about David and Goliath. David, he was a small boy. He was tending to his father's sheep, and he was simply taking out food to his older brothers while they were in battle. They were all fighting this big giant Goliath. Okay, do you guys know about Goliath at all? So King Saul was the king at the time, and he was going up against Goliath. He was afraid. He backed out. He didn't think that he could do it. But guess what? This young boy named David, he goes up and he wants to fight. He wants to fight. Out of all the people that were actually battling, this is the boy who is just tending the sheep, and he thinks that he can fight him. They all laughed. They all thought that it wasn't possible. But you know what David did? He took 5 stones and a sling. Okay? He didn't even wear armor. And he went up against Goliath. And with the first stone, he got him down. With the first stone. Why? Because he saw the possibility when no one else did. It doesn't take everyone to believe in you for you to do something awesome. It takes for you to believe in you to do something awesome. So now it's time to change how you see yourself. This is like, whoo, we heard this and we all looked at each other and were like, oh man, that was good. We all wrote it down. Stop looking for approval and validation from others, because God has already approved you and validated you. You do not need anybody else to approve and validate you. Not your mother, not your father, not your sister, you should hopefully have your husband, but you don't need anybody to validate you or approve of you. Stop looking for them. Stop looking at the people on social media, whether they like or not like your post. Who freaking cares? If you believe in what you're doing is good, freaking keep doing it, okay? Don't let others' thoughts form you into who you think you should be. You go to God and you pray about it. And Brent's probably laughing at me because I just did that. Anyways, don't let others' thoughts form you into who you think you should be. They do not have that ability, okay? Just you. Oh, hold on. All right, so now I'm done. I'm gonna let Amy talk.
Okay, you guys hear me? Oh, okay, so I just want to say that I was super grateful to attend this, because I actually, long story short, I have been on my own spiritual religious path for quite some time now. And I actually think that everything in the past few years has actually led up to this. Felt like a divine moment for me to be going to Elevation Church and hearing the sermon, something that I've been listening to through a podcast for a few months now, that was shared to me through one of my challengers when I was in a time that I needed it most. So I am really excited that I got to speak because this has been so detrimental in my business over the last 6 to 8 months. I don't know about you guys, but comparison is literally like the life sucker of my life. Comparing myself to other people prior to coaching, comparing myself within coaching, like Deidre was saying, seeing other people that are reaching goals faster than I am. I feel like I am my own worst enemy. And the number one thing that has changed over the last few months for me has been how I speak to myself. That's been the daily affirmations that I've been saying. That's been casting that vision and sharing that vision, not just keeping it to myself, but talking to my husband, talking to my team, talking to my coaches about it, and doing it unapologetically. And Pastor Paul actually, this, when he said this, he opened up the sermon with this when he was saying that, one of the things he loved so much about Stephen Furtick was that he felt like he had this roar, and that, following Stephen, seeing Stephen out there owning and sharing his message so boldly, gave him the permission to find his, helped him have the courage to find his own. And I love that so much, because we all have that. Why is it that it takes, I don't know what it takes. I don't know what's going to take for you to find that. We all sort of have to make that decision to go out and find our roar, right? Own who we are and come into our own and go after what we want unapologetically. So without a doubt, every single one of us has this power inside of us. So next slide. All right. So like I said, whether it's in your life right now, your personal life or your business, they are one and the same, and it's literally a decision. You're one decision away from finding that thing, from finding your true calling and from finding your true power. And instead of comparing, and this is something that takes practice, and this is something that takes actual daily work, which is why it's so important to be mindful of how you're speaking to yourself, and how, in the affirmations that you speak, and the stuff that you're putting out there, because it's so easy to fall back into the negative mindset. But when you find yourself watching others, that, let that be proof that you can too. We need to, and something that helps me a lot is when I see someone succeed, when I see someone, hit Success Club, or I see someone, advancing in their business, it helps me to show them love, as opposed to find myself sitting in bitterness. The more, I truly believe that the more you put out there, what you put out, you're going to receive. And so let it just instead go after what feels good, and what feels good is supporting other people and looking to them and seeing them as an example of them paving the way, that if they can do it, then I can too. What drew us to coaching was we were watching others for a long time, right? We were watching other people live this life that we wanted to live. And it's that seed inside you that gets planted of asking, why not me? It's the same thing, so if you haven't found it yet, just know, we are all here for a purpose. We are all here. We all have a voice. And like Deidre was saying, we have keys, and we are not unlocking doors. We are letting fear and doubt and negativity, creep inside of us and tell us that we can't, when actually we can. It all is going to be triggered by how it is that we feel about ourselves, and making that decision to go after what we want. All right, next slide. All right, so all of this literally comes from how you're going to speak to yourself. It comes from changing your language. All right, how you speak to yourself inside your head, how you speak to yourself, in conversations, how you're speaking to your team, how you're speaking over that vision. Do you have a vision? Do you have a vision board? Are you writing out your vision, reading over it every single day? Are you saying you will be a 5-star diamond team? Are you saying you are an elite leader? You are here on purpose? Are you saying things to yourself as they are, that they are actually that, like that is what it is? Or are you saying, you know, when or if or, maybe, like don't speak, like you have to speak as if it is, because that is the direction in which you are going to go, is what the words in the vision that you cast out there. All right. So I don't know if I had one more slide, but I just want like you to know that this is something that I struggle with a lot. And this is something I have to remind myself. And this is something that I really try to remember, tell my team when they're going through these periods of doubt and these, they're letting, that negativity creep in, or they're comparing themselves, that we are all here on purpose. Like you would not be here if it weren't on purpose. And we have a purpose for being here, but it's up to us to figure out what that is, right? So you're right where you need to be right now. It's just up to you to see what that reasoning is and go forward and after it. All right. So he said, how important it is to you never can stop. You never stop saying what it is that you believe and what you want out into the universe. You never stop sharing that. You never stop inviting people. You never can stop doing that, because, and I just had, actually, it's ironic that we're doing this call today, because I just had I shared a transformation photo today on I don't often share on my Facebook wall, and I actually did. And it's something I've been trying to do more, to see if I can reach more people that I follow me on Facebook. And I actually had a former coworker. He's a man. He's a nurse I worked with when I was a brand new nurse. Like, it was my first 2 years of nursing. And he messaged me almost immediately after I posted the photo. And it was so out of the blue. And he came right out and he said to me that he just had to reach out and message me and tell me that he remembers that girl. Like, he remembered and he remembered he remembered me. Like, he remembered me in that time, and he remembered how down I was, and he remembered how lost I was, I thought I just couldn't understand why things weren't falling into place. I couldn't understand why I felt so tormented, and I just didn't know what to do with my future. And then he said that, he just was so, he could see the difference, that I actually kept going. And it made me think, oh my God, all the things that I've gone through over the last 6 years, all the choices that I made that I thought were complete failures, and they actually were not. They actually were leading me right to where I was meant to be. And to think this isn't even the end. It's so easy to forget all the progress that you've already made. It's so easy to neglect looking at all the wins behind you that you've already done. You are standing on a pile of wins right now, of positive people that you've influenced, because you are already here. I think it's just so important to make, gut check ourselves, to remember how we're speaking to ourselves. Are we dreaming big enough? Are we being unapologetically ourselves? And are we casting that out there to our people, to ourselves, and reminding ourselves every single day? Because I truly believe, like he said, the best days are still coming. And that's insane to think about, but it's also super exciting. So anyway, sorry I got emotional. I'm done.
That was awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
All right, Ashley.
Hey, what's up, guys? To follow what Amy just said, I mean, this was such an awesome weekend, and it was such an incredible experience. And this was my fifth retreat, my fifth diamond retreat. I first went as a brand new baby diamond. And honestly, I think I had dropped my diamond that week that the retreat was, and I was like, I don't deserve to be here. Like I remember beating myself up because I was at this diamond retreat and I couldn't even keep my diamond to be there. And I was like, a new baby coach. I think I had maybe been a coach for 8 months, maybe a year. Actually, I think it was a year. And I was still very like much in my own head about, inviting people and talking to people, and still carried a fear of rejection from, years and years ago, and still carried hesitation and fear that other people were going to judge me for what I did, and that I wasn't following the crowd anymore, and that I was doing something different. And I just was my first year as a coach, I feel like I was very hesitant to do a lot of things. And that I was not truly being who I was. And then, that very first retreat was like, oh, hey, look, there's other people here that are like me. Like, there are other people here that like genuinely give a crap about seeing other people succeed, and want to see other people succeed, and want to support each other, and want to be there for each other. And don't care about your past, and don't care about your, whatever struggles you've been through. And I think that's what's so great about this team, about these retreats, about being a coach in general, is that you're not alone in this at all. No matter if you're, on day 1 or day 1,001, or if it's your first retreat or your 5th retreat. And this weekend was really special to me, just because it was just really a great chance to just sit and be and relax and laugh and get to know, some women that I didn't really know all that well, and build stronger friendships and relationships. And then Sunday, the opportunity to go to Elevation Church and I've seen like some of Pastor Stephen's stuff online, and I've seen videos shared, and I haven't listened to a full sermon, but being able to go and experience, the whole morning was amazing. And I'm of Catholic faith, and our Mass is very different from what a service is like at Elevation, and it was wonderful. And I think, we all have similar beliefs, just the structure may be a little different. But for me, it was something that I would definitely do again. And I'm so glad that I went. And I think it was everything that I needed to hear that day, and closing out the retreat, and just kind of like what, Deidre and Amy have already said about, we had this amazing guest pastor, and he said all these really great things, and he did. And, I think there's so many things that we come into this business, and I'm talking about servitude, and my very first little line says, you don't need a title to serve. And to expand on that, like, we come into this business as coaches, and, we're new coaches, and we are unsure of ourselves, or we're vulnerable, or we don't know where to begin, or we're overwhelmed with so much information. And, we feel like, oh, I have to have the perfect system. I have to have the perfect training. I have to have the right messages to say. I have to do the right things. I have to, I need to follow the script. And truthfully, we don't need any of those things. You don't need to be an emerald. You don't need to be a diamond, a 1-star, a 15-star. You don't need to have a certain title or so many years under your belt, or the perfect training, or the perfect script to be able to help somebody change their life. And you just have to be present, and you have to be willing to serve. And one of the things that Pastor Paul had said was, if serving is beneath you, then leadership is above you. And I think that's so very important in this business, that if we're not willing to give, then we certainly shouldn't be able to take. And we give of ourselves, and it's exhausting some days, right? It's exhausting to, give to yourself and to give to your family and to give to your spouse and to give to your challengers and to give to your team and to have all of these buckets that we're, pouring ourselves into. And sometimes at the end of the day, our bucket is completely empty and it's exhausting. But at the same time, what you give, you get back tenfold. And it comes around, and it comes around in the most unsuspecting times, when you receive a message from a stranger on social media, or when you get something in your inbox, or you see that challenger who finally broke through that plateau, and they could never would have done it if it wasn't for your group, or if it wasn't for your support, or if it wasn't for that one thing that just finally clicked after they saw your post. And we continue to give and we continue to give, and then we get that back. If you see a need to serve it. And I think about that a lot, as we're, struggling with what to post on social media, or struggling how to, reach out to somebody, or what to say. And I think, a lot of what my business is based on, and what, my team, does, and how we connect is from community. And I know that we all know that as coaches, but that's something that for me I had such a huge need for that. I had such a huge need to connect with other women who were not going to judge me, who weren't going to gossip about me when I got up and walked out of the room, who were going to have my back regardless of whatever I was going through. And who were just going to genuinely be there to support and to care about one another. And that's a big part of my posts. And I feel like, like, this is such a struggle for me. If I can share all of these struggles, and it doesn't matter if I'm selling a challenge pack to that person or not, if that person sees what I'm going through and it helps them with whatever they're going through, then I'm doing my job. And I think sometimes we need to take that title of coach off, and we need to look at ourselves as somebody who serves other people. We need to look at ourselves as somebody who is an influencer, a life changer, a transformation specialist, somebody who can wholeheartedly somebody who can just support and be there for other people. I think I need my next slide. I'll just keep rambling if I don't have direction. Squirrel. So I found this quote today, and I wanted to share it. Your gifts are not about you. Your leadership is not about you. Your purpose is not about you. A life of significance is about serving those who need your gifts, your leadership, and your purpose. And it goes back to not needing a title to serve. And, I personally have struggled with leadership, and I have struggled with, how am I going to lead a team? How am I going to help my coaches build their business? How am I going to help my coaches, do the things I don't even know how to lead myself some days? I don't even know how I'm going to lead other people. And, I don't personally have a big weight loss story. So how am I going to lead other women through struggles and lead other women through weight loss if I don't have the same experience? And it's not about me. This journey is not about me. Sure, I have my own personal health and fitness journey, but their struggles are not my struggles, and vice versa. And I think, when you put yourself out there so vulnerably, when you put yourself out there, just being who you are, being your true authentic self, and genuinely showing other people that I'm here and I'm struggling and I'm here to support you, and wherever you are on your journey, people see that. And they know that you're not here to sell a challenge pack. You're not here to make $1 from them. They know that you genuinely do care. And I can tell you guys, I have struggled through so many of those things. I have struggled with sending messages that I don't want to send, and closing my eye and hitting post, and closing my eyes and hitting send. And there's been times where I've done the comparison game and I felt like, oh my gosh, nobody liked this post, and I can't believe I shared that. And I can't believe that I've gone through this, and I shared that publicly on social media. And another thing that he said is, your humiliation is preparation for an elevation, and your vulnerability is preparing you for being a better leader, for being a better coach, for being a better challenger. Because I think that's important that we do that too, that we are our own personal challengers, and we go through this journey alongside of everybody else. Sometimes putting yourself out there is extremely uncomfortable, and it's hard. It's really hard to do. But I think about, okay, how can this help someone else? How can I serve to help someone else? And asking ourselves daily, how can I do this? These gifts that have been given to me, this business, my spirituality, my the nutrition insights that I have, the knowledge I've gained from fitness and working through fitness programs, just things that you have been blessed with in your life. How can I use this to help other people? And even things that may not seem like blessings, how can I use this to help other people and help other people change their lives? It was an incredible weekend. If you don't have a vision board, of course, do a vision board, and put this on there, because this is something that it's like a whole different kind of, it's not like fanfare and summit and fireworks and lights and music. It's being in a community and being connected with other people. And I think that's so very important. So that's it.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. All right. So our last speaker is Diane. This is Megan's mom. If you don't know Diane, not that I want to label you as Megan's mom, but a lot of people know Megan. So she's an awesome person. So it's kind of cool to be her mom. You helped her do that. All right. So Diane is going to talk about the 4th S, which is surrender. All right. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself.
Okay. So hi, everyone. It's pretty cool to be introduced as Megan's mom, because it's actually a big piece of my story here as a coach and how I got here. She's my upline, and I was not overly enthusiastic when she first started drinking this shake stuff that was coming in the mail and doing these home videos that I told her, like, those don't work for me. And when she had her transformation, I had 2 really intense reactions. So the first reaction, when I saw her, my baby girl's transformation in her, I don't know if it was a bathing suit or underwear, might have been underwear, on social media, was I gasped, like, oh, how could you put that on there? And she said, I didn't. Deidre did. And my second response was, those results are real, because I knew her. So I knew it wasn't some trumped up ad that they were real, and I knew they were real. And then my other thought was, how can I do that for me? So I'm going to share a little bit about this, but I want to kind of touch on the surrender piece, because is there anybody else that, like, you're following through the story and you're hearing about purpose and seeing and speaking and serving, and then you get to surrender and you're like, surrender? Because when I was in the sermon and I'm listening, and so much of it really built on what we did at the leadership retreat. And I just really want to sentiment what the girls said. It was amazing. It was more significant to me as a leader and as a coaching blast off than even Summit. Like, I thought Summit was like it, like Summit was the best. And I have to say, I agree too. This was life altering, because it was real and it was intimate, and it allowed us to kind of build up and connect from the inside out. So from there, we go to the church service, and we're already floating with all this endorphin and energy. And I'm listening to the message and see and speak and serve, and I get it. And then he says surrender, and I'm like, what? Surrender is scary. And I don't know if any of you have a little bit of a hard time with that. It can be hard, but surrender is what activates it. And when I heard him say that, that this is what activates it all, I didn't want to hear that. And he said, and who are we keeping our eyes on? What are we surrendering to, and who and what? And that makes all the difference between surrendering being a negative, a fail, a not making it, a giving up, versus a surrender being an embrace, a motivation, not a motivation, but a leap forward to a power greater than ourselves, that to actually couple with who we are inside and those dreams that we have, and leaning into the power that's within us to move forward. It's never too late to start. It's always too late to wait. And I think about that with the surrender, because sometimes we hang on, we want things. So we're all here on this call, right? And, it's a Tuesday night. We started at 8:30. We could be doing a lot of other things, but we chose to be here because we want to improve ourselves and we want to improve our business. And so we're making that choice. And so we're here, and we're surrendering to say, I'm going to get on. But sometimes, because we really want it, we hang on to our own ways that make us a little comfortable. We hang on to how we think it should work, and it's not working, and we're not getting the results that we want, but we get stubborn. And I think that's one of the pieces of surrendering, is acknowledging that we within ourselves, even though we have the gifts, we have what we need, we have to see the right things, we have to speak the right things, we have to be willing to serve in humility as a baby coach and make mistakes before we can be elevated to that 15-star diamond and the elite team. Can we go to the next slide? So the weekend was just so cool. But on this day, we actually did a lot of team building actually in the water. But I want you to think a little bit. Have you ever gone to a pool party and noticed how some people pull off their cover up or their clothes and they jump right in? Other people stay back. Maybe they're not going to swim. They're going to hang out at the pool. They want to talk to people, but they're not getting in the water, or dangle their toes in the water so they can be a little bit engaged with what's happening in the pool, feel the cool water, but they do not want to go all in. And has anybody kind of felt like that? Maybe you've been all of those. Maybe you've went somewhere and jumped in. Maybe you've sat at the side. So I want you to think about that in relation to your coaching journey. And I'd like to just share a little bit. I've been around for a long time. I was a challenger. Deidre led the challenge group, the first one that I was in. And when I first got into, and I wasn't that used to social media, and I remember saying to Megan, who can see this? Like if I write, who can see this? And I really, truly fell in love with the community. And I found that I was able to achieve a level of consistency when I make that commitment to somebody outside of myself, so much more than trying to do this on my own. So I fell in love with community. I saw Megan's result, and I saw the financial prosperity that she was starting to have. And I'm like, I want some of that she had. And I want to be one of those people that was motivating like I was being motivated. And I wanted to see somebody that was happy and smiling and reaching out and changing lives. So I signed up to be a coach. And friends, I just have to tell you, I did not jump in the pool. I came to the coaching party and I stayed on the outside. I wanted to be a part of it, but all of those things that we talked about, those fears, those doubts, those insecurities, all of those reasons why were reasons that I had to, but I had a few more that I made up myself. And I don't know what your reasons are, but some of mine were, I'm too old. Because I am Megan's mom, I'm a generation, and nobody, my friends weren't running to me saying, I want to be a Beachbody. They were looking at me like, who do you think you are at your age to think that you can be like a Beachbody coach? And at that time, I took those words from other people more importantly than I took those words from myself, or even people around me in the coaching arena, or even the Lord to say that I was beautifully and wonderfully made, and to be myself. So I didn't go all in. And then I was too old. I had a full-time job that I love. So I'm actually a leader in my, as I now call my day job. And so I didn't have that motivation to quit my job and to come home and stay with my babies. And I was busy. I had a full schedule, but let's face it, we're all busy, right? We all have a lot of things that we want to do, we need to do. And I got to tell you, I had a messy life. And I had areas, as I was watching people share their day and share their world on social media, there were things in my world that really just would not be uplifting to anybody else. And even if I could relate to somebody else, social media wasn't the platform. And so I felt like I had to hide really who I was. And so as I'm listening to coach trainings about be yourself and be authentic and let people see you and be vulnerable, I couldn't really, because there were just a lot of things I was going through that would not have been appropriate or in my best interest for me to share them on social media. So I filled myself with these reasons why coaching wasn't going to work for me. But I was tethered. I was connected, and I just couldn't imagine quitting or leaving. And so I stayed at the party, and sometimes I sat on the side and dangled my feet in the water. Sometimes I got in and I would get myself into a good frame of mind and I would get active. One of the things I did was I went to my high school reunion page and did a live video and invited them to join me in a challenge. It was like, I don't know, 30 some years after graduation. And that got me some results, and I had beat my best in that competition. So I've had times where I've gotten in the pool and I've had a wonderful time. And then for whatever reason, I get cold, I get fearful, and I get back out. And then it's always harder to kind of re-engage. So when I think about surrendering, one way that I was able to take from this weekend and apply it was it really is going all in. It's getting in the pool, and it's knowing that when that water gets on your belly, that it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. So as you're getting deep into the pool of coaching and you're starting to have the change and get immersed in the culture and start changing your mindset to be how you need to be, to make it about the other people, to be willing to spend time with somebody, whether you're going to sell a challenge pack or not, it gets a little uncomfortable. But if we go in and we go all in, whether we go in slow or fast, that is where we're really going to unlock and activate all the things that we do in the see, in the speak, and in the serving. We have to surrender. Do you want to advance the slide? So friends, you're here for a reason. You got a call about being a part of this incredible opportunity, and you answered. You were invited by somebody, and you accepted that invite because you want to be a part of sacred work of changing lives. Because really, truly, when you think about what we do, we change people's lives. We help them break through some of their plateaus, whether it's in weight loss or whether it's just getting comfortable to share with a stranger, or whether it's being willing to set a goal and be vulnerable enough to say, I want to XYZ. I want to get stronger. I want to get faster. I want to lose weight. I want to build a community. I want to be a part of something I've never been before. It's sacred work that we do, and it is very important. And because you're here and you've answered that call and you have that feeling inside of you, and because the work that we do is so important, it's good to remember that we're not here on our own power. We have the power within us that is that of Christ who called you here, whether you realize it or whether you don't. But we've been called to come together and fellowship and learn and grow so that we can have an impact on the lives of others. And at the same time, as we're doing this sacred work and we're changing the lives of others, we have this opportunity to change our own lives. So the personal development that we have done in this coaching community, for me, that in itself, being part of the community, being accepted, being able to really kind of understand that I am enough and that I am okay and that I can belong without having to fit in. And we don't all have to match, but we can support one another in this community of growth and change. So friends, you have the keys. It's within inside of you. And it's the surrender. It's going in. It's trusting the process. And I think that that's something, I'll be honest, I haven't done. Like I would hear on calls, these are the things that you do. And I would say, yes, but yes, but yes, but yes. Like somebody in the pool saying, oh my goodness, the water is great. You have to come in. It's refreshing. It is fun to come and join us. And I'd be like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not hot enough, or it's too cold, because of I allowed fear to stop us. So that surrender is like the final step. It comes after we see and believe the vision, after we speak our purpose to ourselves and to each other, after we choose that we're going to serve today wherever we are, the people that are around us, whether it's 1 or 10 or 100, those are the people that we're going to serve right where we are right now. And then we have those in place, and then we can go all in, because friends, we know where we're going. We know that we are leaning in. We know that we're here for a purpose and we're called for a higher purpose. So whether we come in slowly or whether we jump, just think you have what you need to get involved, to go all in and surrender, because you're here for a purpose. You're fearfully, wonderfully made. And there is somebody or many somebodies that are out there that are waiting to hear your voice. It is your roar that they are going to respond to, not mine, not Deidre's, not Ashley's, not Amy's, because there are other people that are responding to their voice, but there is someone there that is waiting just for you, and their life is waiting. And so never stop reaching people. Don't doubt that you're here for a purpose. Understand and believe that you have been called and you answered. And it is time for us to do this sacred work all in.
Wow, way to finish strong there, sister, friend. I give you 2 thumbs up. That's another long story. All right, so guys, thank you so much for being a part of this call and for speaking and just sharing so much good information. Like I'm just so thankful that we were all able to go, and I feel like it was so crazy, because I was like, I just feel like we were all meant to be there. Like there was a reason we all were there and heard that sermon. And I'm glad that we were able to bring it to you guys who were not able to be there. And hey, if you want to listen to the sermon, it is now on Elevation's website. So if you go to Elevation, actually, I think I have it right here. Hold on. Maybe. Here. I'm just going to put it right in the chat bar.
Oh.
If you guys want to listen to it, what's really cool about it is it recorded like the whole worship part too, which is like 30 minutes long, but it was really, really good. You guys should just use it as some personal development. Does anyone have any questions? Did anyone find this helpful? Were you like, oh, this is not what I was hoping to get on? All right. Well, I hope that it helped somebody, and I hope that it opened your eyes and realized that, girlfriend, you got the keys. All you got to do is use them. Good. Oh, Stacy can relate to Diane. I think, yeah, that's good. Learn to be more positive and let go and love. Oh, good. I'm glad that you guys liked it. And if you have any questions or you want to just ask, if you relate to someone and you want to ask them, something in particular, feel free to personal message any of us. We are all here to help you, and we're in this all together, guys. We all have the keys. We have to use them. We have to believe in ourselves and know that we are here for a purpose. And if we just go in the pool and stay in the pool, there's so much reward at the end of this. And there's just so many great things that can come out of it, and life-changing for you and the people that you end up reaching out to. So I hope that you guys can, let go of the fear, let go of the doubt, let go of whatever's holding you back, and just dive in and have faith that you are meant to be here, and there's something great that'll come out of it. So I hope you guys have a good night. Thank you for jumping on. See ya.